Hey guys, part two. We have nothing fancy to do these cameras with. Two different segments here. This is part two of the Edelbrock Abo for the LS. Divider's gone, fellas. But I do want to show you this. If you're watching my videos, I've pointed out about stuff being out of the box. And even though this isn't a big deal right here, I want to show you. This is what I'm talking about. I hope it can show up. This wouldn't really hurt much. This ridge right here, but it's rough casting metal that's sticking out. And that's what you have in cylinder heads and every intake I've ever seen. And it's just stuff you want to take care of. And as far as the rough casting goes, when I'm doing this here, smoothing it out, this rough casting, believe it or not, wouldn't really hurt much. But what's going on here is that, believe it or not, there's quite a bit of airflow you're going to pick up by reducing this metal down here because it's kind of a smoother contour by the time I smooth it out and cut it back here. And it's just one of them things you do. Some guys like them smooth and shiny. You're not going to see too much of stuff I do be smooth and shiny, except for maybe combustion chamber. But I do want to show you guys this. Here's a divider I cut out. And if you watched part one, you noticed saw shaking around me because I didn't take the time to put a new blade on it. I put the new blade on. But I want to show you this, fellas. I don't know if you can see it or not. All jaggedy with the old blade. Not wanting to cut, just burning the metal. And that's with the new blade. So unless you're stuck with an old blade, just put a new one on. Save yourself the time and the grief. After the first segment, I put the new blade in. I cut right through this thing. So another thing I wanted to tell you, we all do it. We all try to save money. Buy the better blades. You can get these cheap ones at Harbor Freight, $12. You can pay $40 for better blades. You'll use these blades 5, 6, 7, 8 times. The ones for $40. The ones from Harbor Freight, most of the time, depending on what you're cutting, how hot you're letting it get, how aggressive you're being with it, how high a speed you're running, of course, that all matters. But usually you get, I would say, 4 times as much use out of one of these blades. At least that's what I've noticed. But one of the things I wanted to show you guys is this here. And this is my fancy way of porting sometimes. And people make fun of you for this, but I'm going to tell you something, guys. Don't let your friends that port, if you have guys that do a little porting, don't let them scare you off and make you feel foolish if you do stuff like this here, because I'm going to tell you something. This sandpaper right here, you can actually feel what you're doing in here. You can feel the low spots. You can contour with your fingers, and you can actually get in here better than the tool can. The tool will put spots in there sometimes when you're trying to turn the corner and stuff. But another thing I want to show you guys is how you can get the contour with your hand. You can get the whole contour of this, and you can feel what you're doing. You can feel the lip in the back. You can feel if it's rounded. You can tell if it needs to be rounded more, if there's a sharp edge on it. So don't rely on all your tools like this here to do all that. use both. Use this to go do, like, this is perfect for doing something like this. This is great. You put this on, keep the contour. Works fantastic for this kind of stuff. Another thing, fellas, before I forget, I want to point this out. When you do start blending all this stuff in, it usually leaves a sharp edge. You always want to break that edge. Doesn't take much to do it with this. And another thing is, see how beautiful this is? Rough it up. The gasket doesn't need a real smooth area. Plus, if there's any high spots, this could look beautiful. I've seen these before where they actually have a dip in them, where they'll suck air sometimes, where there's a defect. You won't even notice it unless you look across it or put a level across it. I rough them up. And then you can also tell after you're roughing it up by the marks you're putting in it if it is straight, because you'll see the low spots in it. You don't have to use something this aggressive. I don't know what I picked up here. 120. You can use a 200, 350. It doesn't matter. You just rough it up a little bit. That's just what I like to do. I'm sure there's guys put these on and say, that guys, you don't need to do that. I never had a problem, blah, blah, blah. You might not have, but you might. That's why I tell you guys stuff like this here. Because I'm always the guy that winds up being the person that stuff happens to. So, that's why I try to tell you guys stuff. But anyway, I don't know if you can see or not. This is why I'm telling you guys, you want to use it with your hand flat, because there's actually a very big high spot here. And you can feel it. But if you look at it, you really can't see it too well. I don't know if I can get the light to shine on it for you. No, it's not going to. You have to take my words, fellas. I don't lie. Not much. But, these are just things I do, guys. You can do it however you want. If you have a better way, you have a better tool, you've done it before, you don't need to listen to that thing I'm saying. Just for guys I'm trying to help that have never done this kind of stuff. But one thing I can tell you is, like right here, unless you really look at this, you would never know that this dips in right here. So that air is going to come down, and then it's going to hit this little lip and have a tendency to turn back. And this is the kind of stuff I talk about that makes power. It doesn't matter how crucial it is as far as horsepower wise. No. You might not even see a horsepower out of it. But the thing is, why not do it? Why not know that air is coming down as straight as you can get it instead of having to do something stupid? And what it could do is maybe make one of the cylinders go lean, just like it's designed not to do. Their theory, of course. But I did notice one thing, it wasn't just a divider in here. They did deepen this pocket up in the top, in the roof of it. It was actually made, it's contoured bigger back here than it is here. It's pinched off here. And I'm just going to blend that all in. I'm not going to try to change the design totally, but I am going to round it out and bring it in here. I'm going to open it up. I do have to get the gasket on it to see how far I can go, because I am going to open this up as much as I can. Something I believe in. The more volume I believe, the better. I don't know how much boost my son's going to be putting to it, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to make this how I think it needs to be, and then we'll worry about that. Some guys worry about all that beforehand, and they figure things out mathematically and everything. And sometimes 2 plus 2 don't equal 4. You know? It might be a bad way of putting that, but anywho, back on this thing here, if you can see, it does have some rough edges right up in here. Would it kill it? No. Will you see it pick up? I doubt it. I don't like having it. I like knowing I'm going to make this and then have this come in the way I want. So, to me, it's worth the time to do it. Especially when you look at it and you figure out how much difference it makes. And one of the other things I did want to show you is a lot of guys would ask for this. If you get everything straightened out pretty good, where you think you're almost, there, and have it pretty well shaped in, you can look down here. I don't know if the camera's going to show this or not. And see that metal laying in the port. Right there. I don't know if you can see it. You can see the extra metal that I just ground off. And don't laugh at me, because this does work. But look. You can see where it hung up. Most of it went out. Went out nice and straight. But right here it hung up. Right in this corner. Right? And if you feel it, there's a dip. So, as far as being real fancy with stuff, I've done this many times. I know when I straighten that out right there, it's going to work. You're going to have it where it's going to be a really, really nice, smooth contour right there. And right now, there's a dip, and there's a low spot. Like I said, do you see it on the power chart? I don't know. Would it show up on the dyno? Who knows? But my theory is always the same, guys. Why bother doing things if you're not going to do it right? Or try to do it right. That's how I look at all this, guys. And that's why I say and do what I do. I have better things to do than this, really. I have important things I need to get done, but to me, this is still something that's going on in the car, and it's going to be a crucial piece. The turbo, the whole thing of putting the turbo on is to make power. This is surely important to putting the air down through the intake. If it wasn't, they wouldn't charge a lot of money, like double and 3 times as much for one a lot better than this one, really. This is actually probably the cheapest one they make. And that's why we have it. Not because we're cheap, just because we don't buy the high dollar stuff. Not most of the time. If we had the money, we would, but we don't. Not when we're trying to do 3 and 4 cars at a time. So, but anyway, guys, I hope this is something helpful to you. This is just stuff that we do. And like I said, you might have guys that will say, there's a different way of doing it. This is how we do it. And if I can help you out, guys, that's what I want to do. I've never seen anything I do at least slow down. That's one honest thing I can say. The things I've done, I've been very fortunate that way. I've always seen a gain from it. Or if I didn't see a big gain, it never killed the car off. So that's why I go by numbers down the track. I don't really go by airflow charts and things like that. Dynos, they're a good way to get yourself kind of motivated and give you an idea of what it's going to do. But to me, that's not a magic thing. It just doesn't always come into play. I remember Billy Glidden saying he made 200 more horsepower. And even coming from Billy, if it went for him, I wouldn't hardly believe this myself. 200 more horsepower, never picked up 1/10. He said, how is it possible? How is that possible to do that? I wouldn't hardly believe it. But that was 200 horsepower, fellas. Not 50, not 30, not 10, 200. And he didn't see 1/10. He knows what he's doing. That's some off-the-wall guy, I wouldn't believe it, but not from that smart kid. His father was the king as far as I'm concerned. Bob Glidden, that guy, if I ever had a hero, that's my hero. He was way, way, way before his time. It's insane what that guy knew. The things that you can see now, that some of the things come out, like some of the people have his heads and things like that. It's just insane what that guy did. And to run the times he ran with the stuff he had. Ford didn't have a lot of good stuff. And he made that stuff work. The Clevelands were a terrible mess. And that guy straightened them out where they would make power out of them. They're like the worst engine out there. People brag them up. Yeah. But you got to know what you're doing with them. And they're a big money engine. They're not cheap. So that guy, I'll tell you, when I seen him doing what he was doing, with what I knew them Clevelands were hard to deal with. From day one, that guy, he was my hero. Ford blood through his veins. I mean, it was just insane what he could do. But anyway, guys, I'm rambling. I get caught up in this. And I just hope this is somewhat helpful to you. I owe you some E7 information. I'm going to try to do that. And I have the Coyote stuff sitting here. I'm going to be doing them heads. So I'll be doing a segment on that if you're interested in that. Or if there's something you guys need to see, you can leave a comment. Like I said, I don't always know everything, but I'll surely try to give you my input on it. And at least one thing about my input, guys, it don't cost much money. My stuff doesn't really take a lot of money to do stuff, because it's like this here. If it doesn't work, you're not out much if you do it yourself, unless you tear something up. And if you don't tear something up, you just take your time with, like I've told you a million times, like with this here, you have to take your time with it. You just can't get in there and start hogging stuff out and everything and change the shape of it and then put those spots in it. You got to take your time with it. It's like that with anything, but it pays off, guys. If it didn't pay off, you wouldn't see some of the stuff that we have run nowhere near like it does. You know, we don't, like I said, we don't set records, but compared to some of the things I've seen, the stuff we have is pretty good. I don't see too many dual plane 302s with stock heads on it, but 9 seconds. You know, 10s on motor, and there's no tricks. The lifters aren't done. The rods aren't lightened up. It is what it is. It's legit. All stock crap. I mean, one of the engines went 15s in the car. We put it in our car, put our spend on it. That's the engine that's went 10s. And well, most of them, my son's gotten the 10s with them, but it just depends on all motor or with a little bit of nitrous, you know. But still, I know there's a lot of fast cars out there now, and it's hard to compare 500 horsepower that you get out of the factory now to what we're doing, but it's still one of them deals where if you know what you're doing with stuff, you see the difference from a motor that makes 200 horsepower to being able to go 9 seconds without $1,000 in it, or $2,000, just by tuning it, degreasing the cam a certain way and things like that. I mean, we do things to them as far as that goes, but there's no high dollar stuff. The cars, the 9s, don't even have roller rockers on it. It has a stock steel rockers on it, fellas. So that's my point. I'll go into more details about that later. There are the things I want to show you. So, you know, you hear guys say, oh, they have this and they have a buddy that had that and everything, but they have all kinds of tricks done. And this is all just tuning with the carburetors and things like that. So that's the stuff we want to share with you, you know. I even had to ask my son run things by him if he minded, if I put the combinations out there now. And he said, no, go ahead. We're getting older. Younger generations coming along. Plus, some guy like had a Mustang 65 or something. He just wanted to make it quicker. I want to see them have the advantage, but they don't think, well, to get that car to go 11s, we need to go buy a pair of Trick Flows or Edelbrocks. And I really don't have the money to do it and put heads on for no reason. So that's why I'm doing these videos, fellas. But anyway, I hope I'm helping somebody. Alright guys, have a good day. And check me out when you see me come up with something new. Just turn me on and see if I can prove you wrong or right. Or you can prove me wrong or right. Alright guys, I appreciate you guys. Later on.